Good evening. Today is Monday, March the 16th, 2026. It's 7 p.m. I'd like to call the regular Board of Selectmen meeting to order.
Troy Lemire.
Kevin Bishop, Paul Marino.
Paul Harrington, Todd Orshalashi,
Glenn Overnesis.
William Hester.
Cheryl Heffernan McGlynn.
William Pozo.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, agenda review.
I have a question. I see in executive sessions, item 12, it's indication of personnel salary negotiations. What class of personnel, who is this in regards to, what group?
This is in regard to the town clerk.
Okay, as I understand, the town clerk is an elected position, is not a personnel. It's something that should be discussed in public. It's not properly an executive session matter since he's not a member of our personnel. He's elected. While there is an ordinance that indicates that the Board of Selectmen chooses a salary, I also saw through going through the budget over the weekend, the proposed budget, that there is an increase factored into the budget. So as a point of order, why would something such as this be in executive session when it's not provided for under the rules? He's not an employee. He's an elected official.
Right.
And it's something that's usually dealt with, has historically been dealt with through the budget process. There was an issue with the prior board regarding whether, the clerk was considered an employee. Yeah, that's had to do with the office being opened and not public notice not being issued. And it was made very clear he was a elected official. So he's not an employee. If he's not an employee, it's not a personnel discussion, which is what is allowed for executive session. So this is something that should be put under new business for discussion. The public should be able to hear what's going on. It's not personnel negotiations.
And I'm fine with that.
I'm not saying you're not fine with it, Glenn. I'm just saying, I've made it clear that I think we have to be very cautious about what we put into executive session. The public has a right to know, so I'm going to be very rigid on it. It's nothing personal to you. It is, I'm very anal about that, and I have been on other matters. So I'd ask for that to be moved to new business, item C.
And I'm just stating to the mayor, the selectwoman does make a point, but the elected official, I was just about to say employee, they have the right to either do it as an employee, either in executive session or publicly. I think the elected official just stated he's fine with doing it in open session, so.
Just for clarity, can you cite to me where an elected official is considered an employee?
Well, that's why I was saying, yeah.
For purposes of executive session.
That's
So-
why I stopped myself. An employee would, that's why I paused.
Employee would
So I
not,
was kind of,
yes.
yeah.
Employee has that right.
Employee has that right. Elected official, you heard me bring that up.
Does
But
not
you
have
just
that
heard
right.
the elected officials didn't have a problem with
That's right.
doing it in open session. So
Yeah, I mean, can I speak?
that's up to the mayor.
Well, I think the issue simply is having it public. And unless there is a provision for an elected official to be considered an employee,
Well, who do I?
and I would ask for that to be, for you to give me a citation for that.
I don't have that.
And there's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
And under our charter, it's not an employee. Yes, this board makes a decision as to the salary of a town clerk, but there's no provision in our charter for that to be done in an executive session negotiation. So it must be public. If it's not part of our charter, we cannot make that exception.
Who do I work for?
Ultimately, you worked for the
town.
electorate,
Okay.
the residents, is ultimately your boss. Because of our charter and statute, the Board of Selectmen does have the salary portion of it.
Because it usually used to be you get a percentage of the fees. So under our charter, it's instead of a percentage of the
Yep.
fees, there's a guaranteed salary. which is decided by the Board of Selectmen. So that is what this town decided, you know, when at the same time deciding to have, as currently as an elected position. There was discussion at the prior meeting about it's a constitutional office. As such, it's the people that need to have the information. This board will make a decision regarding that salary, but it's not appropriate for executive session, which would only apply if you're an employee of the town and you're not an employee of the town.
Again, I have no problem pleading my case in public. Didn't want to go into executive session to hide anything.
And I'm not making any implications, I just want to make sure that we are doing executive sessions appropriately with the appropriate subjects. We have to be careful about it. There's been history where things that have been brought into executive session on boards that are not appropriate. And I've come here and spoken as a member of the citizenry about that in the past. And so as now having a seat at the table, I am going to be raising it when it becomes an issue. It's not personal to you.
Can we have a motion to move 12A to 11C?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Any other items? Item 4, the approval of the regular meeting minutes from March the 2nd, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Corrections, additions? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous? Item 5, citizens' comments. The Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Speakers be limited to 3 minutes and may speak once. Please give your name and address. Would anyone like to speak? We ask that you turn on the microphone before you start.
Let me fix that microphone.
Good evening, Frank Oliveri, 108 Shore Drive. I want to thank Mr. Marino, Mr. Harrington, and Mr. Hester for taking care of a critical problem on East Wakefield Boulevard last week between the beach and Shore Drive. It was a mess, but it wasn't more potholes, but more craters. And I want to thank the Public Works crew for taking care of that last week. But what I just found out this weekend, my neighbor at 110 Shore Drive has a 15-month-old grandson that got very ill, and the hospital and the crew from not the hospital, but ambulance crew had a decision to make whether to go through there or around the 7.5-mile detour. Because they knew it was a 15-month-old child, they blew through the thing. So thank you. We talked about last month about roads and everything else, and I know that's your big thing too, but you gotta look at some roads that we can't afford to lose and put them out of service. Especially in the lake area where you either go down the road or you go around 8 miles detour and lose a lot of time. So thank you for your support, and think of that when we put the road program together this year. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Oliveri. Mr. Stahl, did you want to speak?
Good evening. I just have a few questions.
Could you just give us your name and address for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mike Knoll, Moorland Road, Winchester. I just wanted to know who plows the Meadow Street parking lot? Town?
Is that the one at the end of Meadow Street?
The one
across
on
from the
Meadow
brewery?
Street. Pardon me?
The one across from the brewery?
Yeah.
Do you want to move back and forth? Do you want me to get back to him? You tell me.
If you have the answer. If not, we can.
I just asked the mayor if we were gonna do dialogue or not, and on that one, I can tell you that the town does plow it, DPW, our
Town
public
plows.
works, yeah, our public
Okay.
works.
And who plowed the snow in front of the town hall?
The street?
The piles. Who took the piles away?
That was a combination of DPW and a landscaping company that we had hired. You're
Okay.
talking about the work that was done late at night?
I just wanna know why, they haven't taken care of the stores on Main Street or even the post office. I've seen several people falling trying to get over that mountain in front of the post office and trying to get to some of the other stores down there, like the other restaurants and stuff. Like, what is it, ABC Pizza, Monaco's,
So I think,
Richard's Jewelers.
I think what you're asking for is we got back-to-back storms within a short period of time frame. So there was that one storm where I believe we received, I
I know, but
think it was,
you moved the one in front
We did.
there.
We moved
In
it,
past years, the town has taken care of that right away.
we have, and to be honest with you, that last storm where the snow, so the first storm we did, you know, I think everybody was cheering our praises because we removed
The
it.
small business people, I mean, they should be taken care of too.
So on that first storm, I believe we did. I mean, there was videos going up on social media.
I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah.
It's not gonna snow now, I'm just saying.
Hope not, I put my
Bringing it up
snowblower
now.
in the shed. So, Mr. Cannell, I'm gonna just talk openly and truthfully and factual with you. So that first snowstorm, the big one, we cleared the snow within, you know, a couple of days. And we were getting rave reviews from everybody, from in front of all of the small businesses. In fact, there's a few people on our board that have connections to small businesses. I think if they wanted to chime in, they would say that first. The second snowstorm, it's coming down to money, is really what it's boiling down to. We needed to buy more salt than we've ever bought. Our overtime budget for the
I understand
DPW
all
was
that.
through the
I
roof.
understand all that, but I'm just saying that the small business people, they pay the taxes and they haven't, they're just making it, barely making it.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that own the building.
So then you brought up a good point about these small businesses that pay taxes. You know, we obviously are
I
very.
mean, I pay taxes in Torrington for a sign and 2 folding chairs and a card table. You
I
know,
was
my
not sure if I
storefront.
should laugh
That's
or
all I
not.
need. But I pay taxes for that.
And it's a balancing act. So the Public Works Director and I sat down on that last storm. We saw that the warm-up was gonna happen. I believe it was, you know, 2 weeks, we had 60, 70-degree temperature. We figured that the snow would melt naturally, and the last thing we want.
God will take it away, that's what the mayor in Waterbury, I think.
No, our mayor definitely didn't say that, but, you know, it was definitely a judgment call from my office and with, you know, consultation with our Public Works Director, in that we obviously didn't want to expend money if we knew 4 days later the snow banks would all be melted. And we decided to not do it, because the last thing we want to do is to ask for even additional funds for snow that was going to be gone in 4 days. And with that warm-up that we had, you know, 10 days ago, the snow was gone. And that's why we didn't come out and clear the banks there. But that first snowstorm, I'm still reading the social media posts, the emails of, you know, business owners, residents that were so impressed with the crew that came out at midnight to clear those snowbanks.
And is there plans for the 250th anniversary for the town?
Working through them, yes. Our historic commission, they were just here at our last meeting 2 weeks ago. They gave us an update on the 250th celebrations, and they are working very hard to come up with a lot of different ideas for the 250.
Any news on changing New Street to after the Medal of Honor recipients?
None right now, no update yet for that.
I've only been here 5 times for that.
But only twice with me,
No,
one time
for you,
before.
but maybe the other guy.
Well, the other, yeah, so it wasn't on my list, but this is now the second time you
Mayor's
brought it
been
up,
here,
so.
and his father would've got right on it when his father was mayor.
The mayor and I will have a conversation tomorrow about it, and we'll look into it more.
Will I be informed?
Of course.
I hope so. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cannell. Anyone else wish to speak? Item 6, Town Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, Board. Quickie tonight, because you all know what I've been doing over the last few weeks, but happy to report that the fiscal year 26-27 budget has been completed and submitted for review. It represents a culmination of several months of work, department heads, finance staff to prepare a responsible financial plan that balances operational needs, capital priorities, and fiscal stewardship. a huge thank you to Tom, Anne Marie, and Terry for the work that they did. Should not go unnoticed. It was truly a team effort to put those 700 and some odd pages together. I may have signed the letter, but it was truly a team effort. And I'll leave you with this. A good budget process is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's built through steady work, collaboration, and thoughtful decision. And we're going to start that, obviously, beginning next week with our Board of Ed, Board of Selectmen meeting. Winstead Restaurant Week, tremendous success. They kicked it off on March 4th with the Sip and Savor event. Wow, food was great, drinks were great. They were hoping that 100 people would register for that event. Happy to report that over 105 people actually had registered for that event. Tremendous job by EDC for organizing that event, and it was such a wonderful week. I happened to hit a few restaurants for lunch, and obviously went to the Sip and Savor, but it was a great week, and look for now the 3rd annual next year. I think the town really embraced it. I know the restaurant owners are happy with it, so we're gonna do it again next week. Northwest Transit, we continue to speak to the Northwest Transit District about efficiencies and cost controls relative to the service in Winstead. We've made it very clear that we need to find additional efficiencies within the system. If we can't find the efficiencies, we may be looking at reducing or eliminating a route. Currently, right now, there's 5 routes throughout the day. We may drop it down to 4. All things are on the table. As you all know, we did go back out for 3% reduction to our department heads. We couldn't really go back to Northwest Transit as of now, but I think as we work through the budget process, we'll find we may need to. On some quick little notes, Habitat for Humanity was in town last week. They're interested in constructing a home, which is a huge opportunity for home ownership for somebody that may need it. We're not there yet, but just put it on your radar that Habitat for Humanity is looking in the area for potentially building a home right here in Winstead. I know Selectman Bishop was at Hinsdale, because I saw that on social media, but I just wanted a big shout out to our school that I got a chance to read to the 1st grade class. Such a wonderful event. I had the best 1st grade class ever. We gave them stickers at the end. I read a book about a goldfish, and it was great. So kudos to the WPS.
I actually had the best.
Oh, you were there too.
I had the best 1st grade.
Nah, I don't know about that. We'll debate that after the meeting. But I forgot. I saw you right there too.
How fast did you read the book? That's what I want to know.
Not fast. I had pictures in it, and then you know me, I can't stay on topic much. So it took me forever to get through the pages because we talked about everything. Upcoming town meeting tomorrow night at 7 p.m. 2 items for discussion is 48 Bridge Street sale and the Pearson School roof project. The roof project will be adjourned to referendum, which takes place the following Tuesday, March 24th, 8 to 8 at Town Hall. So it's not your normal polling place, but all of the ballots will be here, and you can grab one and vote to do a roof. And 2 last things, Historic Commission, they have a revolutionary trivia night at the Little Red Barn Brewery. How much do you know about the birth of our country? The Barkhamsted Historical Society and the Winchester Historical Commission invite you to find out on Saturday, April 18th from 6 to 8 at Little Red Barn on Main Street. There will be questions, prizes, and a good time for all. They wanted me to give everybody a little shout out. They sent me an email today. In our Historic Commission, I think Bill will support these comments. They do a heck of a job, and as I mentioned earlier, they are planning a lot of good events for America's 250. And last but not least, the town has submitted on behalf of the Board of Education fiscal year 2027 community project funding application through Representative John Larson's office for $2 million to support Pearson School infrastructure renewal project. These funds will help support, capitals that are identified in the superintendent's 27 capital improvement plan. You look through the book, obviously there's a lot to discuss. One of the things that Selectman Bishop, he had Representative Larson's ear. He said, well, why don't you ask us? We'll see if we could fund those capital projects. So we got Tom and myself directly on it, and we went off to see if we could get $2 million for the capital projects for Pearson. So it's one less thing we have to fund. On a second note, Representative Larson has done a heck of a job for this town. He continues to get money pumped in here from federal direct federal direct congressional spending. They no longer call it direct congressional spending. They now call it community project funding. But at the end of the day, cross your fingers and hopefully we can get $2 million from Mr. Larson's office. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
Questions?
I just wanted to echo that. I've had several great conversations with Representative Larson, and I've been very impressed that now he's actually called me out of the blue several times to check up on how our town is doing and ask what he can do to help. So I feel pretty confident, hopefully, about that application. And very interested, and hopefully that's $2 million that can help fix up Pearson that don't come out of the pockets of our local property taxpayers. So keep our fingers crossed.
Both.
Other selectmen? Item 7, Finance Director, report.
Mr. Mayor, I forgot to tell you, the finance director got called away tonight, so I'll be wearing the finance director's hat tonight. So this is for period ending February, the report says February 31st, 2026, but we actually know it's February 28th, 2026. Current property taxes is $28,730,296, 98.43% of the budget compared to last year at $26,951,425. Motor vehicle supplemental, $243,990, 69.71% of the budget compared to last year at $265,849. Past due taxes, $263,201, 75.20% of the budget compared to last year at $258,781, which was 43.13%. Total revenues, $35,592,349, which is 86.77% of our budget compared to last year of $33,136,652, which was 81.20%. Expenditures to date, $27,272,680, 66.49% of the budget compared to last year of $26,430,412, 64.77. Municipal aid received, so far we've gotten $919,724 for special education excess cost to the Board of Ed, and town aid roads of $197,040. Cash flow, here's a big number. Currently, we have $27,350,235. Invested is $19,119,500 in the Northwest Community Suite, $458,928. In STIF, $2,629,943. In Northwest Money Market Account, $16,030,629. Capital expenditures, in February, we had just under $10,000 for town clerk office renovation, system conversion. If you recall, they were going through a big system conversion. Fire turnout gear of $39,561. Annual road maintenance of $107,674. And senior center mechanical repairs of $51,496. With that, I will open it up for questions. I will note, if you see at the top of the page, we're roughly 67% through the fiscal year. You start looking at your expenditures. We're right on track of where our expenditures should be, just a little bit shy, about a half a point. Heck of a job by our tax collector. We've almost received all of the property taxes that were on the books, so great job by them. So we should have a good closeout of the remaining 1/3 of the year, but I'm not seeing any issues that we're gonna miss a revenue number or overexpend, which we can't, but overexpend anything on the expenditure side.
The motor vehicle supplemental,
Yes.
big difference in the percentages. Is that because we had more supplemental go out this year, or did we just have a higher collection rate?
That's an excellent question, Mr. Mayor. So if you go back, we actually, for many years, were not charging a motor vehicle supplemental. And this is relatively something that's 3 years old now, and we're still trying to tune in on the budget. So last year's budget number was massively under projected, which is why you saw 118%. I think this year what you'll see is that number with only 30% left will come dialed in right in. And really what you want to try and do, especially on the revenue side of things, you want to try and account for every dollar you possibly can. Because when you do that, you're going to impact, the overall potential tax increase, mill rate, all of that. So, you know me, when it comes to the revenue side of things, I really like to dial in to make sure that we're accounting for every dollar that we think. There's no sense of loading up our bank accounts while other bank accounts of our residents are getting tinier. So that's what you're seeing there. And keeping in mind, motor vehicle supplement goes out in January, it's due in February, so those bills just hit the household. But kudos, because we've already received 70%. Sometimes we have some slow payers, but I'm not seeing any reason why we're not gonna hit our motor vehicle supplemental.
So, any other questions from the board?
No, I would just make a comment as we move into item 10 in just a little while, that, you know, year over year, we carry about $250,000 in unpaid past due taxes. So keep that number in mind as we get on to that other subject coming up.
Anything else? Item 8, correspondence. Does anyone have anything? Item 9, boards and commissions. Yep, Kevin?
So we have one reappointment tonight. Kurt Williams, Recreation Board, party unaffiliated, member. Term end date will be 4/2032. We have one resignation. Stuart Pollins, Historic Commission. Party.
He's a resident.
Just a resident. Oh, just a resident.
Just a resident. I
Okay.
shouldn't say just a resident, it's a resident.
He's a member. So thank you, Stuart, for your dedication to the Historic Commission. And we have a nomination appointment, Esther Dew, Historic Commission, Party Republican, member. Term end date will be 12/31/26. She's completing the term vacated by Linda Dew.
All right, so do we have a motion for Mr. Williams?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion of Mr. Williams? All in favor? Unanimous? Do we have a motion?
So moved for Esther.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Anything else?
There's multiple seats open still.
Item 10, unfinished business, the potential tax sale. Town Manager Harrington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it was last week I had sent the board an email of the list of properties that were 2 years delinquent and $5,000 delinquent as well. That list totaled, was 200, I don't want to guess. 5 years. So the 5,000 and 2 years delinquent totaled $266,561.76, compared to the 2 years delinquent and $7,000. That list totaled I think it was 112, but I want to get you the exact number. It was all organized before I came down here, so.
Doesn't know what that counts.
131, 220, and 21 cents. Right on top.
So 260 versus 131.
260 versus 131. Our tax collector did send a memo if you had a chance. There was a few questions that came up last week. I'll hit a couple of them. There was a taxpayer assistance one. That was a conversation that really enlightened me. In order to take advantage of any state or local program, the current taxpayer actually has to be current on their taxes. They wouldn't be able to go back and apply those, so they've missed their opportunity. They would have to be current in order to take advantage of any type of taxpayer assistance program. Signage on property, they weren't able to find any state statute requiring signs on the property going up for sale. It became a question that we don't technically own these properties right now, and could we trespass and put a sign on the property? Mr. Cohen actually advised not to. The only time that Mr. Cohen recommends that a sign goes on the property is notice was unable to be delivered. Is the only time you will see him, probably not him himself, but somebody go onto the property and list that the property is going to be foreclosed. And then as far as notifying abutters, our tax collector does not recommend notifying abutters prior to the tax sale. Doing so would create legal exposures for her office, but there's nothing that precludes you directing me to notify the abutters. Mr. Cohen actually did advise keep the tax collector, because she ultimately would be challenged in court. They would be suing the tax collector if something was done improperly. But if you had directed me to notify the abutters, as we did with any town-owned property, again, whatever you ask, I pretty much do anyway, so if that's something that you wanted to do. And then, really, she drove home the fact of concerns of vulnerable residents. The town cannot make exceptions based on personal characteristics. Example, age, gender, race. Doing so could create equal protection and discrimination issues. All properties meeting the statutory requirement for delinquent tax must be treated consistently. So if you set the bucket's the bucket.
But there are some statutory protections in place, correct?
Yeah, if they're filing bankruptcy, they wouldn't be able to go through the
Veterans as well,
process,
is it?
veterans, all of that. Yeah, there are statutory requirements that Mr. Cohen won't even, the list that you currently have, either list, those exceptions are not into this list. There was one going through a bankruptcy that's been removed from the list because we know it's hands off.
Freezes it.
Yep, it freezes everything, correct. So I am here to answer any additional questions.
Paul, if we did move forward with this plan, what's the timing look like?
So the timing is, Mr. Cohen's a very busy attorney. He would, obviously get eyes on it right away. You potentially would not be looking at a sale date until probably late fall or early winter is about the time. And that would be, starting the process tomorrow. Throw that out as an example. You would be looking for many, many months down the road. The process would start, a few weeks from now. Mr. Cohen would send letters, but the actual sale date wouldn't be until probably late fall, early winter.
Can you walk us actually through the timing? Again, it's been a bit since we talked about it, so take us through the process. If we move forward with this, he would start notifying people, you said pretty soon,
Correct.
right? And then so just walk us through the process,
Sure.
if you would, again.
So we would set a date, and I'll use May 1st, arbitrary date, but just as an example. So we say on May 1st, these particular properties, whatever bucket you may choose, get turned over to Mr. Cohen. At that point, our marshal, the tax collector, will no longer have those properties. We can't do anything with them. Mr. Cohen would then engage correspondence with the property owners, and I've seen the correspondence there. It tells you exactly what's going to happen. Contact our office immediately. The sale date has been set for November 1st. Please don't ignore this. If you don't contact our office, your property, may be sold on November 1st. So there's a lot of back and forth. Some people ignore it, some people don't ignore it, some people work down their balances, and then the official notification that the sale date's happening, it goes in the paper, it goes on our website, depending on what, what this board instructs me to do, notifying the abutters that November 1st, the sale of this property at an auction will be happening. November 1st comes, room usually does get filled up from all different states of buyers. They come in. The initial price of the property is the taxes that are owed. It goes up from there potentially, and Adam then closes that particular auction on that particular property. Once that property has been auctioned off, their current owner has 6 months and 1 day to redeem the property from the new owner. They would no longer make payments to the town. They would make payments to the potential new owner. Still, that new owner does get to collect that extra, the 2% charge that currently the tax collector has. Any proceeds from that sale, for example, a property owes us $10,000, it sells for $20,000. The current homeowner can petition the court for the proceeds. The town has absolutely zero claim to the proceeds. Mr. Cohen's office will have it. The existing owner could petition the court for those proceeds. With much success, the courts usually do release those funds to the current homeowner. Again, in my time, in my last town, 5 properties were auctioned off. All but one was redeemed on the final day, and it was just a vacant piece of land that owed lots of taxes. Currently, the town is enjoying the new, and the particular agent that bought it no longer owns it. They put a single-family house on, and the town's now receiving new taxes from a new house that sits on that vacant land. So I hope that answered questions, but I can elaborate on any one of those sections.
Questions?
Do you need a motion to do this, or?
So, this is tricky. The tax collector engages and ultimately signs the contract, but she has no right to bind the town to a contract. You guys would be authorizing the tax collector, not me, the tax collector, to engaging the services of Adam Cohen. If there's more discussion, but I wrote up a very simple. I move the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Winchester, Connecticut, pursuant to Connecticut General Statute, Section 12-157, authorize the tax collector to initiate the statutory tax sale process for any real property that meets the following criteria. 1, the property is delinquent in the payment of real estate taxes for a period of 2 years or more. The total amount of delinquent taxes, interest, liens, lien fees, and other authorized charges owed to the town equals or exceeds $7,000 or exceeds $5,000. This is your bucket of what you decide. I further move that the Board of Selectmen authorize the engagement of attorney Adam Cohen to provide legal services necessary to carry out tax sale process in accordance with Connecticut General Statute, Section 12-157, and related statutes, including preparation of notices, title work, coordination, conduct of the sale, and all associated legal requirements. This authorization shall remain in effect until 12/31/2026, meaning the tax collector can't do this every year without your permission. I also wanted to point out there is no fees that are owed by the town. Mr. Cohen builds all those fees into the sale of the property, so we are not looking for anything on the expenditure side of things. This is only a revenue side of the
So the bidders
budget.
pay his fee?
The bidders pay their fee. As the motion states, I further move that the Board of Selectmen authorize the engagement of attorney Adam Cohen to provide legal services necessary to carry out the tax sale process in accordance with the Connecticut General Statute and related to statutes, including preparation of notices, title work, coordination, conduct of the sale, and all associated legal requirements. That all gets pushed into the sale.
So I'm gonna make a motion, whatever you said, because I don't wanna read all that. And, my bucket is $260.
I'll second that.
Right, so he's,
The
he's,
5,000
Okay, yeah, can we just be clear on
so
that?
to be clear, he's motioning the $5,000 delinquent for 2 years
Correct.
option.
That's what I just-
Okay. I speak Troy.
I wasn't gonna read all that again, so.
And then just take the,
So we have a motion and a second.
Discussion.
So we are, as everybody knows, we've all watched the Board of Ed budget negotiations over the last several weeks, and we understand what those numbers look like. We've all gotten our 718-page of light reading, thank you. And those people who do pay every single month and do what they're supposed to do shouldn't be penalized with a potential extra tax increase because we're not collecting the monies that everybody should be paying already. And we're in a budget season right now where $250,000, if we collect that, funds something we desperately need. So I agree with both of you.
Other discussion?
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of the opposite. I think it should be $7,000 because my tax is gonna take me 2 years to get over that $5,000 thing. So I think we're making it a little too short for people. It's gotta give them a little extra time.
So Bill, you're gonna leave $150,000 on the table.
Well, I'm hoping it's all collected, but I think we should.
We haven't collected, if you look back in the budget
Right.
report, we've carried
I-
$250,000 for the
I totally
last
understand,
2
but
years.
I think 5,000 is just a little too low. I think we should push it to 7.
I would just submit that it's not just 5,000, it's 5,000 in 2 years.
Correct.
Both factors have to apply. So if someone hasn't been paying their taxes now for over 2 years, that's pretty tolerant already. We've been pretty tolerant as a town, and we've got some that go back several years, and it's at the 5,000. So, so we're gonna let people not pay taxes for, 6, 7 years at 5,000, and because it doesn't add up to over $5,000 or $7,000? People have an obligation to pay their taxes. They get benefits or services. Everyone should be doing their share. I understand it's hard. I have been through points in my life where it's been hard to make ends meet financially. We've all been there. But we have to have people pay their taxes. It's just been going on too long, and now we're looking at raising taxes potentially, more likely than not. And we're gonna say, okay, the rest of you who can pay, just as, Paul said, the rest of you who have been paying, right, but sorry, we still have to make up this difference of this extra $160,000 because we don't wanna we don't want people to fulfill their obligation because they've only owe $5,000, not $7,000. I don't think that's appropriate.
Hey, Bill, just put this in perspective, too. It's a
Okay.
quarter of the mill rate.
Right, I totally understand that, but there was one of those mandates that I absolutely can't even stand that word anymore, come down from DEP for people paying their sewer tax, where they could just keep it at a certain point and never pay it off, and I think that's what could happen here is the same way. You can pay a certain point, you can keep within the 2 years, keep it under the 5,000 and never totally pay it off.
No, if they have to pay at least 5,000 to stay
Right.
off the list. Maybe you're
No.
looking at
Oh,
this.
correct? If I bring it down to 4,700?
You're
Stay
off the list.
Also, this is just a nudge, right? Like you said in your past experience, like this is kind of a nudge to get people to pay their taxes. And by the end, we're not really taking people's homes. They have many, many opportunities for many months to come, figure this out.
And in your outlook, if it's $4,700 that you put down, or it's $6,700 that you don't put down.
So I have a question, Paul.
Yep.
So let's say we have someone who owes 5,000. They've owed it for 2 years. They're on this list. You said if they bring in $4,700, they're suddenly not on the list
No,
anymore.
No, if they bring in $300.
They
they're
bring in
not on the
$1, they're at
$1, they're still
$4,999.
Ah.
But keeping in mind that whenever we turn this list over to Adam, right, you're gonna have a bill that comes due July 1st. You may have a whole new list, because the 2-year criteria changes and stuff like that. We'll publish the final list, obviously, in terms of what it looks like. I can tell you that when the list was initially being generated and the gossip mill started, somebody came in with a $12,000 truck and removed themselves from the list. This is, as Selectman Bishop said, this is the nudge that I don't want to lose my house, and people do end up finding a way, coming up with the money to not have their house go through a sale. And it spreads a message to the community where, you have to pay your light bill, or what do? They turn your lights off. You have to pay your cable. If you don't pay your cable, they turn your cable off. The list goes on and on and on. Here, there's no mechanism because our schools are still gonna open, town hall's still gonna open. I'll say roads are still gonna be paved, but, this is now a mechanism of, hey, if you become too delinquent, we have to take action on you.
So you also gotta look at it too, so maybe a couple of the $5,000 ones will sneak under the radar, but you're gonna get the ones that owe a lot of money that's in back taxes. And that's where we need to get.
If you look at, page 5 of our packet, past due taxes, we've got 75.20% getting paid year to date right now. That's up from last year. And that may be because of this discussion, okay? Sometimes you need a kick in the pants, and that's what this
Well,
may be.
I kind of agree with Bill. I think 2 years, 5K's a little short and low for some people. I mean, and we said, we may have to raise taxes again this year. I hope not, because there is people struggling in this town, and, well, they're using services too. We provide a lot of services to people that are paying nothing in this town. And we can't keep going out and raising taxes, and I think in 2 years, if they can get it under, I think some people may be struggling. This list in particular, there's people that have been multiple years because the tax is so small. Okay, the fact that this has no exceptions, it says right here, town cannot make exceptions, so if it is a senior, again, that's 92 years old, whose husband built a home, we can't make an exception because it's not equal protection and it discriminates others that can't pay. I can't,
But it seems though,
we don't raise it, I just.
as if the senior comes in with, if the senior comes in with some type of effort to make a payment, they're not gonna lose their house. That's what we've determined here.
If you look at the first page of the list, you have someone on Alpha Ave. It doesn't add to 5,000, but it's from 2010, they have not paid taxes. That's inexcusable.
I think to Kevin's point, we need to nudge everybody here, and your list of people you're nudging at the $5,000 level is significantly longer than the list you're nudging at the $7,000 level. And again, we're all gonna sit in this room in 2 weeks, or whenever our next get-together is for budget, and we're gonna be looking at how do we save 100,000, where do we find 200,000 for this, and people have to get caught up.
I think I'll speak on, so I'm looking at a list, and I'm looking at a list where there's a property, back in 2010, the amount owed was $774. The interest is over $2,000. You know, you boil down the list, and it's almost the interest. This is not something that's just 2 years old. This is something that's 10 years old.
And it hasn't been addressed before.
And it hasn't been addressed, and I think a few of the select people's express this opinion. It's that kick, and when people realize that things could happen down the road, they're gonna find different ways to pay the bill. But, you know, just ignoring a bill that sits back 10, 16 years,
I agree
I don't know
in
where
certain
we're
situations. My concern was there's always a situation that comes up where somebody is struggling. And we talk about, well, we gotta get tough on the taxpayers and this and that, but when we go through this budget this year, there's a lot of line items we're gonna look at. We don't wanna get tough on certain ones, because we don't wanna, you know, we gotta be fair to all the different groups and commissions and extras and this and that. Well, sometimes we have to have talk tough and say, well, we can't put as much into this anymore. It's nice to have, but because we're gonna be looking at going up. And you know what? I guarantee you next year we're sitting in this room going, well, we don't wanna do it, but we're gonna have to go up in taxes again. And the year after that, well, we're sorry, but we're gonna have to go up in taxes again. It's a never-ending game.
Well, if we collect what's owed, it may soften some of the increase.
Mr. Mayor.
200,000 is gonna soften the increase for this year and next year?
Hey, Bill, I'd rather have the 250,000 than not have it.
So, two questions. First one, hypothetically, there's no offers on a house. What happens to that property?
Excellent question. So at the meeting, and we can get down that road later on, once we engage Adam Cohen. Not something I recommend. You could take less of what taxes are owed. You know, for example, a property owes $6,000 in taxes, and you get no offer, and you know, somebody offers you $3,000. Okay, you know, you could authorize me to accept it.
Have you ever seen that happen, Paul? I mean, you've got real estate property here that you're buying for $5,000.
Good deal.
So the one property that ended up selling in my former town, it was well over $180,000 in back taxes. It was the vacant land. It did not sell, and a developer came in and I believe offered way under the $180,000. I accepted it because talking with the existing owner of the lot, they were never going to pay it. And now we have a nice, beautiful house on that particular property. But I think it's important to note, when you look at the 10-year list, $148,000 is the property value, or the property taxes that are due. There's almost $10,000 just in interest alone. That doesn't happen from 2 years. That happens for well over a decade of just ignoring that bill. And then $8,616 in liens. I'm sympathetic. I wasn't a fan of this for many years, and then I actually saw it play itself out. I went to a tax sale in Hartford, big city and actually witnessed it firsthand and decided to take it in my last town. I urge you, they're open auctions. I'm bringing Ashley to the one in Windsor Locks that's happening in a few months from now, just so she can see firsthand, what happens. Go to them. See how packed the room is. See these developers that are coming in that, want to build something.
I'd like to move the motion. I'm not gonna change my motion, so.
May I just ask one question, because I think it was important. Throughout this conversation, there were talks of what we were going to do to identify or let people know about the sale. Is there anything that the board wants to put into the motion, locking the town manager's office into notifying the abutters via a letter? There are statutory requirements we're going to have to do. We're obviously gonna check all those boxes. Because we gotta keep the tax collector and myself separate, is there anything that the board wishes that our office would do during this
It
process?
says in here that they do not recommend notifying the abutters prior to the tax sale. Doing so could create legal exposure. If noticed or missed, it may lead to claims of unequal treatment.
I think we follow the statute, whatever the
Yeah.
statute
And
says.
Paul, how do we publicize this to begin with? Forgetting anything extra,
Goes in the paper, goes on the website. Obviously, the current owners obviously get notification of it as well. Several notices in the paper, and then Mr. Cohen's website is heavily viewed of, the tax sales that he has going on.
Well, if I understood correctly, you said that the tax collector cannot notify abutters, but you can, right? That's what we have to decide.
That
Are we
was my
instructing
question,
you?
yes, that was
Yeah.
what I stated, the tax collector, she will be the office would be the one that would technically be challenged in court if, we mailed a letter to, an address that, was on file and, for an abutter, and it went to the wrong address for whatever reason, because they moved, but they never never updated their property card. We would have good legal standing that, hey, we have to take what's on the property card and the address that's on the property card, but.
so I don't see any good reason to notify abutters. I think it exposes us potentially to that. And secondly, we have no obligation. This is gonna be a public sale. Anybody can come and bid on the property. I don't think we have to give abutters necessarily a leg up on the opportunity. I think it's privacy. I don't know if I'd want my neighbor to get a letter if I was behind.
It's not private, because we're publicly posting, so there's no
Right.
privacy issue.
But you have to pay attention to find it. It's
But it's-
opposed to you get a letter in the mail going, oh, look, the Joneses are behind and their house is gonna be
And
sold.
I understand, but it's still, there's
No,
no
I
privacy
agree,
issues, just
yeah.
to be clear. I like to have things as clear as possible. If we are going to be publishing, if we have to do the newspaper, we really should do we really should do it on the website as well. And, maybe even a post on our Facebook page saying, here's a link. Instead of not putting everyone out there on Facebook, that's unnecessary.
Right.
But to say, here's a link of tax properties that are gonna be involved in a tax sale at this point in time. That would be, I think, sufficient to give, everyone the appropriate notice without trying to embarrass anyone unnecessarily, because that's not what this is about. This is about accountability.
All right, we have a motion, we have the second.
And assuming I'm not gonna be abducted by an alien, I have absolutely zero plans of leaving. I hear your direction, it sounds like the board is in agreement with that. I don't think we need to put it in the motion unless you want, but website, social media, get a little attention on it.
Yes, that's all right.
Every feasible means that we would normally communicate town meetings and what have you.
Done.
The leprechauns could get you. All
Tomorrow.
in favor? Opposed? 5-2. The tax sale.
I'll get you a copy of Mr. Cohen's contract once it's drawn up, just so you can see it. And please, by all means, if you see something, it's gonna be a form-fitting one, but if you see something that,
Does that list include any of the suspense list properties?
it would, yes, suspension list could go into
Because that's quite extensive. Moving on to item 11, new business discussion regarding the Rotary Pet Parade. Town Manager Harrington.
So with me tonight are, come on up, please, please, please. With me tonight are two members from the Rotary. They came into my office last week. If you haven't heard, this is the 88th year of the Rotary Pet Parade. And these two gentlemen are here tonight for a little bit of an ask. So gentlemen, please, take it away.
Hand something out.
Thank you. I hope this is gonna be easy for you and,
Thank you.
what you've been working on. My name is John LaBeery. This is Bill Harding. They're both Rotarians and both past presidents of the old Woodstock Rotary Club, now merged with Torrington. And we're here to represent the merged club. The Pet Parade, as Paul said, has been alive for 88 years. We think it started in 1933 or so.
33, correct.
And took off a few years during World War II, and has been back at it ever since with one or two weather interruptions. It's been diminishing a little bit over the last several years in participants and spectators. So we're trying to jazz it up a little this year. Don't go by how we look, we're the old guys.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some young people on the committee who know what to do, and we're quite optimistic about it. Bill has handed out a copy of our Save the Date flyer. The artwork at the top, you probably know, if you've been around town for a while, that in addition to the Pet Parade, we run a poster contest in the schools beforehand and encourage all the children to participate. Many do. Judge hundreds of posters in the next few weeks. This is the winning poster from last year, which we've recalibrated to make it the Save the Date headline for this year. What we asked to try to help us put some drive into the effort is to declare the third Saturday in May in 2026 and thereafter as Rotary Pet Parade Day in Woodstock. It's that simple, no money involved, just your support. We think it will create a beneficial effect in the community if people see the selectmen supporting it, and it gets us a little bit of extra pizzazz. That's it.
The one little bit of history, there's a Chicago, a club in Chicago, which is 57 years. They're mere infants compared to us. So, you know, we're excited about this. I would also share that John and I have been around long enough that we probably saw Todd and his brother come as Hopalong Cassidy or something to this years ago, no doubt.
Pictures?
Troy was probably in it.
There are some pictures, yes.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is we now are dealing with 13 schools in Northwest Connecticut. We're getting the kids more involved. We're this year going both English and Spanish. We're putting a lot of effort. One of the stars of the show is our newest Rotarian, is Rista Malanka. She is doing a wonderful job. So we're excited. We've got 80% of our returns of all of our posters, all of our participations is Winston kids, but we need to get it back to where many of you remember you couldn't sit on the church lawn.
Yep.
It was packed. Well, we want to get back to that.
Yep.
And that's why we're hopefully you folks can sort of give us a little flag we can wave.
So I got one question. Can we keep the Laurel Parade out of the Pet Parade? Because that's always been a bone of mine that I don't think they should be separate parades.
Do we keep the Laurel Parade out of the Pet Parade?
Yeah, I don't think the Laurel
we
Queen should
welcome
be.
it. Yeah,
Oh, you want them?
But
Oh, no, they've come with us often.
Troy's asking us not to do that.
Yeah, because when I was growing up, and the Pet Parade was a huge thing.
Yes, it
I
was.
was in it. I'm not even going to tell you what years,
Right.
but I was in it for
Right.
many years.
Right.
And the Laurel Queen was a whole separate thing.
That is correct.
And it was for the kids.
Correct.
It was for the animals. It was
Right.
for bring your horse, bring your
Right.
dog.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
bring your go-kart that you made.
Sure.
And I think that we've lost that over the years, and more attention's been on the Laurel Queens. And then, because I was in it last year, I drove a truck for one of the
Sure.
Laurel Queens,
Sure.
and there was hardly any participation from the kids.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to see.
Well, that's what we're working on. But we're finding that if you go to the Little League game, grandparents that used to go to every Little League game aren't going anymore. It's our way of sorting it. How are we gonna shore this up? We're not about ready to give this up after 88 years. So we're gonna figure it out.
Right.
And it's going to be, again, with the Laurel Parade, now we're incorporating them. So when the Laurel Parade came to us a couple of years ago, we don't know if we can do it alone. We embraced them. But why would we get rid of two traditions? That's over 100 years with the Laurel Parade.
What's
Yeah,
happened,
yeah.
Troy, is the Laurel Parade, which
Shrunk
used to
too.
have 15 or 20 candidates every year, gets smaller
And smaller and smaller.
Yeah, they don't have enough
volunteers to support it. We've been getting smaller, not quite at that rate, and we thought by bringing them together, maybe we could create a greater critical mass on the streets.
I understand.
It's a toss-up, we'll talk about it again.
You guys said you're working with the, obviously with the schools. Have you reached out to, say, Gilbert and Winchester Public Schools and worked with their tech departments? Like Gilbert does I believe it's a weekly update, and then monthly, they put a digital flyer out that says what's going on in the school, what's on in the towns. And that's a lot of the students actually doing those digital presentations and with the teacher.
At the high school level?
At the high school
The
level.
high schools have always been out of our age group.
Yeah.
We're dealing with kids.
Yeah, but I'm talking for promotions. It'd be a good project to help the other schools.
Right now.
That might be worth it.
Yeah.
In the past, we have had a Rotarian who's at Gilbert.
All three of my grandkids have participated and won the pep parade.
Of course, of course.
The tech department.
Yeah, I would reach out and,
Well,
yeah,
thank
because
you.
they're always looking for little projects to do for the town and with the town, and maybe something they're interested in.
Well, thank you for the thought.
Well, as a Board of Selectmen member, you have my full support on this. And if there's anything that I can do to help, please reach out, because I will help.
Thank you.
You any good with a mucking rake?
Would be the first time, Bill.
And I don't want to try and sway the board in whatever decision it makes, but I do want to put on the record that there may be a new Rotary member joining. My application has been formally submitted to the Rotary Club, so please don't make me look bad.
Make them follow the wheel.
Yes, yes.
There's a secret handshake in the back. We're trying to get
Yes.
that all figured out, but
You're still practicing then?
yeah, they haven't given it to me yet.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna be our speaker on the 13th.
14th.
14th. And
14th of
we
April.
hope to induct you the same day.
Okay. excellent.
We look forward to it.
All right. From the Office of the Mayor, Town of Winchester, Connecticut, proclamation. On behalf of the Mayor's Office and the Board of Selectmen, hereby declare Rotary Pet Parade Day. Whereas the Rotary Pet Parade has been a cherished tradition in the Winchester community for 88 years, bringing together families, children, and their pets in celebration of creativity, fun, and community spirit. And whereas the event is proudly organized and supported by the dedicated members of the Winston Area Rotary Club, whose commitment to service reflects Rotary's motto of service above self. And whereas the Pet Parade has become a beloved annual event that encourages youth participation, strengthens community pride, and celebrates the unique character and fellowship of the town of Winchester. Whereas the continued success of the Rotary Pet Parade over nearly 9 decades is a testament to the dedication of volunteers, organizers, families, and participants who keep this treasured tradition alive each year. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and the Board of Selectmen of the town of Winchester, Connecticut, do hereby proclaim the 3rd Saturday in May as a Rotary Pet Parade Day. In the town of Winchester, encourage all residents to celebrate and participate in this long-standing community tradition. In witness thereof, we hereby set our hands and cause for the seal of the town of Winchester to be affixed on the 16th day of March 2026. Can I have a motion to accept this?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
So let's, Dave, I want to, this is going to start. Can we get a picture of you guys accepting it with the whole board? We'll get a little social media behind it. And
Sure.
Charlie, I didn't do. Sorry.
We'd love to do that.
It's a spur of the moment thing too. I just thought of it. So,
Now you guys can give me,
Dave, can you take the picture?
Yes, sir. Look at that.
As long as Bill smiles.
Community teamwork.
No, the other bit.
No, Paul, come on.
It's
Yeah.
not
Paul, come on, Paul, you're almost a Rotarian.
Here, kneel down here.
Everybody smile, look. Yep, good, good. Great.
Say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for the
John,
time, folks.
Thank you, as always. Thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you for doing this hard stuff you do here.
John, did that get laminated?
It did not.
If you need that laminated, bring it back to the office, we'll laminate it for you, yeah. Or do you wanna keep
take
it?
it.
Take it, well, it's raining out.
I have a briefcase.
Okay, put it in the briefcase, and then bring it back to me, we'll laminate it.
I can bring it to the meeting tomorrow and let people know.
Excellent, good,
Thanks very much.
thanks, John.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Bill.
Good night.
We appreciate your work you do on that.
Item B, 2610 refunds as recommended by the Collector of Revenue. Town Manager Harrington.
So as you see, we have total refunds in the amount of $1,855.41, three of them being certifications of corrections and 3 of them being overpayments.
I move that the Board of Selectmen authorize the refunds recommended by the Collector of Revenue in the amount of $1,855.41.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Unanimous? Item C, discussion salary negotiations, town clerk. For Charter, Article 8, Section 801, salaries, the salaries of all directors and other employees of the classified service of the town shall be determined by the Board of Selectmen in conformity with systematic pay plans of the positions involved upon recommendations of the town manager, providing nothing herein shall be construed to limit the power of the Board of Education to fix compensation of employees of the school system. The town clerk shall receive a salary in lieu of all fees, and such salary should be determined by the Board of Selectmen.
Shall be different. Not should, you said should.
No, shall.
Different legal definition.
With the board's permission, I'm gonna sit up front here.
Don't forget your microphone.
Thank you. It's been 4 years to get to this point. I appreciate it. It's been a long haul. So, had we been in executive session, you would have got the abbreviated appeal. Because we're out in the open, you don't. I want to start by making a couple kind of random comments, but I want to clear the air. I was counseled repeatedly that this was going to be an awkward situation, because I'm here to ask my friends for an increase in salary. That's not easy. For my 40 years of working, I never had to just show up, walk through the door, and expect a salary. I was always performance-based. In government, you show up, you go through the door, you get paid. So, given that, I've got some things I'm going to read here, and hopefully they'll make sense. I'm appealing for myself, but truly, I hope you accept this comment. I'm appealing for the position as well. It's got the word clerk in it, the title. It's not such a fancy word anymore. I think the salary has been neglected for a long time, willfully, which is unfortunate, but that's my opinion. I tried from early on, when I came to the job, I got elected. I was there about maybe 2 months, and I looked around, and I made it a point to challenge myself to change just about everything in that office to what it is right now. Some of you who frequent it probably feel it. Some who come in may not, but I think we've made some significant changes as the way the office looks, the way it feels, the way we interact with people, and it's been a long haul, but I think we're at a good spot. 2 weeks ago, we brought in a state-of-the-art recording system, so I can tell you right now that town clerk's office compares to any town clerk's office in the state. And I take a little bit of responsibility for that. So, I'm gonna hand all this out. You can read along with me. It's just documentation of where I stand in relationship to my peers. And anybody on the board is welcome to challenge anything that I gave them. I fully expect that to happen. So, to the Board of Selectmen, I'm respectfully asking this board to consider the following points and encourage you to work with the town manager to establish a fair and equitable compensation formula for the town clerk position. Respecting your time, I'll use bullet points and outline a format to state my case. Section 202 of the town charter states the town clerk is elected for 2 years. This requires the clerk to incur campaign costs and time spent to win their job back every 2 years. Section 307, Section G of the town charter states the town clerk, in addition to powers and duties provided in Connecticut general statutes, shall be the town clerk of the Board of Selectmen. The town clerk's salary is addressed by one sentence in Section 801, stating the town clerk shall receive a salary in lieu of all fees, and the salary is to be determined by the Board of Selectmen. The town clerk is not a member of a labor union. Union members get scheduled pay increases, retroactive pay, education stipends. The town clerk does not. The town clerk is paid for a 35-hour work week, but required to work following time for free. All Board of Selectmen meetings, regular and special, town meetings, referendums, and elections. The charter does not address any of the following pertinent employment criteria: job certification, pay rate formula, job performance, work schedules, vacation time, sick time, pension, or annuity. So some quick highlights of my journey here. Elected in 2021, sworn in January 3rd, 2022. I donated to the town 225 hours of free time to shadow Sheila prior to being sworn in on January 4th, 2022. I worked 18 months without any COLA or performance-based increase. I received a pay increase in July of 2023 that netted me $12 a week. My written budget request for compensation, equalization, part of it will be based on the junior assessor, and I know Becky is listening here, and this is no reflection on her whatsoever. It is the position that was and has been paid more than the town clerk, even though I was hired before that position. They continue to earn more than I do. So some accomplishments, I'll read these quickly. I attained my state certification in 2.5 years. I completely renovated the town clerk office, flooring, wall paint, coverings. I used state grants to purchase the hanging mat files, the large format printer, and 2 scanners. I reduced our budget 3 of the 4 years I've been town clerk. Donated my time and materials to personally repaint the walls in front. I've paid for every wall hanging in that office. Paid for the services offered banner outside our office. I took over management of the boards and commissions, and I just recently implemented a total overhaul of our town clerk recording software. Pretty much everything you see in there, I wasn't required to do any of that. That's all me putting my, heart and soul into a job that I cared about. The cover page is ended by saying my request is straightforward. Until the charter revision is articulated and approved, I'm asking to be compensated fairly in line with my peers and for the overtime hours that my position requires. Second page. I pulled some data just to show you, in comparison to towns based on population, which seem to be in our world, the fairest and most utilized way to compare one town to the next. The Granby population, 11,184, current salary is $98,162. The projected column is based on a history of the past 3 or 4 years increases. They work 36 hours, 36 and a half hours, they're a higher position. So I won't go through all these, but we start at 98,162, and we work our way down the list. Prospect, 80, 896, Burlington, 76, 770, Winchester, 72, 317. Department heads, just to compare myself to, I guess I'm not an employee, but my peers that I work with here at Town Hall. Police chief, 125, Public Works director, 108, fire chief, 90, director of land use, 85. Those are all hires, with the exception of Jimmy Rollins, after I started. Tax collector, senior center director, junior assessor, all union positions, all make more than I do. To the right, July 1st, budget analyst gave me the extrapolated numbers of where their salaries will land July 1. Junior assessor, $82,703. Town clerk, $72,317. I won't go through the annual report that I do, but on the second page, there's a running summary of what we've done here. And I will share with you that had I lost the election and someone else had come in here, you may or may not have gotten this kind of list. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that I put my heart and soul into this job. And I think my ask here is fair. But I understand that I've got you all in a position. I do understand that. The last thing I'm gonna read is my review from Josh Kelly. At one point, he had us fill out self-evaluation, and then he filled out ours. I included that for all you to see tonight. Josh Kelly says, Glenn has made the town clerk's office the poster child for what each of our departments could and should be. He has increased visibility, upped the professionalism, demonstrated by the department and its staff members, and helped residents feel happy when they leave his office. His approach to customer service is a game changer. Anything that the next town manager can do to empower Glenn to help other departments to follow in his footsteps will be a positive development for the rest of the town. It has been a pleasure to serve with Glenn, and I'm confident that his presence as a part of the town hall team will continue to pay dividends down the road. For the next town manager, Glenn's position is not one that is political. I would argue that. Yet we require him to run for office every 2 years. It is not practical, it's led to deficient wages, and it's not rational. I recommend that another charter revision commission be impaneled to examine a change so that Glenn may be hired employee rather than elected one. So I close by again thanking you for letting me sit here tonight. It's a humbling experience, but really one that the town deserves. It's up to you guys. Whether you make a decision, one way or the other, whatever that may be, I'm okay with it. I've got other paths that I can go down.
So right now, you're paid salary, correct? You're not paid hourly?
I'm paid a salary.
Okay. So,
35 hours, I have an hourly
right.
wage. So
well, first of all, you definitely need to be compensated for all the time you put in for all these meetings and the elections, that in my book. But I'm wondering how we could, if we could raise the amount of hours, for the position. But if it's not being paid hourly, I don't want the compensation to be taken out of the salary, because obviously that will go lower. So, I don't know, what are our options, Paul, here?
We have lots of options.
Your options are whatever the board pleases.
Do we,
I don't have a,
Mr. Harrington, do you have, in the budget that was released, I was going through some things
Yep.
On the budget over the weekend. And, you know, a lot of our personnel pay is based on contracts, union contracts, commitments, correct?
that is correct,
Okay.
yes. And then we have employee contracts with some non-union members as well.
Non-union, but still they're contract-based.
Correct.
Okay. And because the town clerk is not an employee, we don't have those type of contracts, correct?
Correct.
But that could explain some of the differences that resulted in.
Yeah, I've seen it in other towns as well. There's compression issues that happen usually a lot with elected officials, yes.
So, if I'm correct, that there is an increase in your proposed budget for the town clerk's pay, correct?
There is,
What's
yes.
the percentage of that
I
increase?
believe it's a 3% increase.
Okay. And in the past few years, have there been increases in the town clerk's budget?
I can just speak for the 2 years that I put a budget together. I think last year was it 2.5 or 3, and then, yeah, I think it was 2.5 or 3 in the current budget year that we're in, and then 3. And again, it was just a proposal to the board, and ultimately becomes, the board's budget and the town's budget. So I had put in either a 2.5 this current year and 3 for next year.
Well, I appreciate having discussion and your presentation, and you are a valued member of our town. I think this is a budget issue, and I think it should be part of the discussions we have a budget. It is a line item in the budget. It's not contract-based, and I think we need to handle it just like we would handle any non-contract-based line item. That's the equitable way to deal with it. It doesn't mean you're not gonna get a raise, we're not gonna decide to maintain a raise that's recommended or increase it or whatever, but this needs to go through the budget process, because your position is a line item in our budget, just like other non-contract things, which can potentially get cut or increased or changed, because they're not controlled by contracts. So that would be my position. My recollection in going through the budget over the weekend is that there have been increases over the past 4 years. I think you break everything down, showing increases for all the items over 4 years, increases or decreases or whatever. And my recollections there were increases. Not saying that's necessarily your value, but this is a tough year, really tough year. And I think we need to go through it in a regular order as a line item in budget, and discuss that when we have the whole budget in front of us, and we're looking to take this out of context. It's giving special treatment to one particular position, one particular negotiable line item over others, and I don't think that's equitable at this point. And I think it's a bad look, and that's what's important. I think it's a bad look to the town, and I don't think we should be doing that.
Glenn, can I ask you something on this? Town clerk's paid for 35 hours, and you do the regular meetings, the special meetings, the town meetings, the referendums, elections. If you had to give me an off-the-top guesstimate right now of how many hours you put in a year that the town's basically conservative.
It's a lot more than 35. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Sure.
So my way of looking at this thing is, and I understand what Cheryl's trying to say, but in order for us to talk about budget numbers, we kind of need to come up with a plan on what we plan on doing with his salary. So we can prepare ourselves for the budget later on. I mean, it's something that, we got enough work to do going through the numbers.
And I'm not asking for a decision tonight, I should have said that. I fully expected one, you would not will go back to the fact that, you know, I get that I'm way, way, way out of the norm. And I remember Candy Perez saying, you knew what you signed up for, and she was right. But I think the rubber hits the road eventually, because whether or not this charter revision change happens, you may have the community vote against it, and you're gonna have someone maybe in that position who is gonna have very, very little leverage with their salary. I've got none. You can see I'm going backwards because of the rules.
And again, I appreciate this presentation. I mean, this, you know, this salary comparison data, you can do this for pretty much every position in this town. You can do this for our school teachers, who are one of the lowest paid in the state. We could, our
They're the lowest starting salary in the state.
and then they get
why-
increments.
so
So
why
I'm
was
just
the
saying
town-
that this.
Why was the town clerk paid less than the 2-year assessor?
I was not a member of this board to make that decision, and because it's a union negotiated contract, you do not have that position at this time.
Yeah, I don't have.
That's the point.
I
no
understand that.
leverage. I have no
And-
leverage with the
and that-
town.
That's
You
the point
do
I'm gonna
it
try to
for-
make. You're talking about these other positions, teachers and other, they're all protected by the union. They get automatic annual raises. We've all been
They're
aware.
protected by the contract
By
that's
that-
negotiated by the town and the
Right,
union.
but he doesn't have that.
understand
This is a whole different ball game than anybody else's position in the town,
Which is why.
other than the town manager, because
Which
he's in the
is
same
why it
boat.
has to be addressed in the appropriate manner, and the town manager does have a negotiated contract.
Right.
It has to be addressed in the appropriate manner, in regular order, as part of the budget process. This
Right.
presentation is valuable for us in considering what would be appropriate for you in the regular order through the budget process.
Well, I agree with that, but I mean, it needs to be determined before the budget process,
Yeah,
because
so-
you want a
Yeah,
number
I
to put in the
I agree
budget.
with you 100%, and we need to look at the position, because some of the decisions of the past boards were appalling, if not horrific. I had conversations with past board members when I talked about improving morale in town hall. Remember 4 or 5 years ago, morale was, you walk down and I used to tell them, you all got poo-poo faces, they're on their office like this. Now everybody's smiling. A couple of them actually said to me, I could care less what the morale is. As long as they're doing their job, that's what they're getting paid to do. I disagree. Again, bend over backwards for everybody else. We have a few positions we don't. So I agree with you. I don't know how we add that to the agenda, but I think we need to discuss the town clerk's position. Expectations, goals, compensation, everything. Not just a line item in the budget, we're gonna give them 2.5%.
I mean, we could do, like, you know, follow the union raises, whatever the clerical union raise is, then he automatically would get that. My contract personally, for where I work, I get paid salary, but I also get a raise on what the union guys get. So the level is always there that, you know, you're a supervisor over, because if I wasn't getting raises, these guys would come up and, why would I want to be a supervisor if they're making more than I am, you know?
And I'm playing catch up here.
Correct.
I don't know
Right.
how else I can show it. And the determination may be that the town clerk is just not valued enough to get anything other than a union negotiated increase. That's a decision.
I mean, that's where I would probably put it. I mean, if I was to make a decision on how it would go, I would say it would have to follow the union.
Selectman
So,
Moreno?
So I have a question, and Paul, you may know the answer, but are we even allowed to adjust a salary midterm?
No, you're not.
no,
So when I say midterm, legally, the next time you could get an increase would be in between,
after the budget's passed.
no. it would-
Next election.
It'd be the next
Says
time.
here, State constitution says the town clerk has to have his salary negotiated prior to the elected term, or the beginning of his term.
Right, so you wouldn't, even if we
So
said
that's
tonight,
where we're at right now.
so if tonight, if we gave you a raise, hypothetically, you wouldn't be able to actually receive it until the end of your current term.
I'm not going anywhere near that, because.
Well, I mean, that's what the law says, right? You can't receive it
Well,
during your term.
The Board of Selectmen is supposed to establish my salary, which they never did.
Well, it was established, it just never got changed.
Right.
I mean, it's been changed over the years through the budget, it's been increased every
You
year.
aware of the law, Paul?
To some extent, but,
Aware of the law, not off the top of my head. There's a lot of laws out there, so I can't say that I'm familiar with them all.
Because Paul, I can show you, I didn't want to burden you with this. Here's a survey from the Connecticut Town Clerks Association of just about every town clerk in the state that's elected. 62 of them responded that they get annual COLA or raises.
Some of those hired positions, though, right?
No.
no, there's
Elected.
an election.
Those are all elected.
Those are elected.
Listen, I think the starting point here is determine whether we have the legal authority to do it without
Yeah,
you having.
if you don't, you don't, and
So before
like
we,
I said, I've got other paths I can go down.
before we discuss the formulas and how we get there, let's see if we have the ability to do it. Let's get a ruling from the attorney.
Do we have agreement with that, with the board?
Ruling for the attorney as to if we have the authority and when we have the authority.
Yeah. I mean, I have other questions for you, Glenn, and we can talk about them let's get this question answered first. We do not and cannot do something that puts us in jeopardy here from we're breaking a law because we give you a raise, we're unaware of the law. So I think we need to get a ruling on that from either the labor attorney or the attorney, whichever attorney you think is appropriate.
That would be more town attorney because it's dealing with state statutes. I don't
Okay.
think that's a labor.
Can we get a ruling on that and then readdress this at another time?
I will reach out to him immediately.
To Glenn's point, he's speaking as well as for himself as for the position period, for the future. It's funny that this came up tonight, because I performed a wedding ceremony over the weekend. And the couple came into town hall, and it was their first time in about 6 years ever coming into town hall. And their comments to me were, wow, we went up those stairs and we walked into that town's clerk office and, oh my God, everybody was so friendly and the place looks gorgeous. Like we could camp out there on the weekends. So there's a little feedback coming from two residents that very rarely come in this building. They only come in this, the only reason they come back in this building is because they needed a marriage license.
I don't think that anybody really would even suggest that Glenn and that position, he hasn't done a phenomenal job. I think he has, right?
Yeah. But
And I think
again, not
the
talking
list
about
of
Glenn,
accomplishments
the
that
position.
the list of
Right.
accomplishments that he's provided for us shows that. And I also think, and everybody's aware, that we are looking at that position. The Charter Revision Commission is looking at potentially making this a hired position, because I agree that, having to fight for your livelihood every 2 years seems like not a good idea, and spending your own money on the campaign to keep your job, and then being in a position where technically, Josh's review was inappropriate. It was an employee review for someone who's not an employee, right? So, at the end of the day, I would love to see this be an employee and have all the benefits that go along with that, including us the ability to work with you or whoever your predecessor becomes someday, an appropriate salary. But at the very first, let's find out what we have the power legally to do. And then in the next 90 days, I think we're going to have a pretty good feel on what the charter revision comes up with in terms of this position. I don't even know how it transitions. I guess, well, if it did happen, we'd have to understand how does it have to be at the end of his term to transition, or could he transition?
That's what the charter.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, all that is certainly to be answered, Glenn, but, the value you are to this town is unargued, right? No doubt about it. You've done a phenomenal job, and I think everybody here is sympathetic to the situation, but let's first find out if we legally can do anything, and then, readdress it after we know that.
Fair enough. I appreciate your time.
So the other thing that I think needs to be addressed, not necessarily tonight, but not just for Glenn, but any employee, we shouldn't be requiring employees to do work that they're not compensated for.
I agree.
And that's something that we need to figure out, if not now, in the future. How do we address that? Because that's important.
Does he have a job description? Do you have a job description?
It's a constitutional office.
So is he required, are you required by state law to do
No.
regular and special
I don't even
meetings?
have to show up.
He doesn't have to come to work, Bill.
Nope, and there's nothing anybody can do about it until the
I
election.
don't have to even come to work.
The charter does say that he's the clerk of the Board of Selectmen meeting, but again,
Doesn't say he has to be here,
it,
or referendums or elections or any of that.
Right, and every town manager,
Well, there's-
in fairness to Paul and Josh and Bob Geiger twice, they all, off the back of their hand, read me pretty much the same speech. You are an elected official, you marched your own.
Please, I don't want you to think we don't appreciate what you
No,
do.
I know you do, but this has been a long time, and I have a family, and I have literally no recourse to change something that I feel should be changed. But that's all right, because like I said, I've got other paths to go down.
Well, I don't think what you're hearing tonight is a, no, we're not interested in discussing it. We do need to know where we stand.
Absolutely, and you would never get me to expect anything other than, legal, honesty, everything, and, I just figure at some point the challenge that life throws at you, you gotta take them head on, and like I said, it's not just for me, but it's the next crew that may or may not come through the town board. Could be in a world of hurt, trying to find someone that.
Well, at least you shed light on a situation that's been neglected and forgotten for.
Yeah, so anyway, I appreciate my job, I appreciate everything you guys do.
Sheds light on the structural issue that we already, agreed on through the charter revision, so it's clearly an issue.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes, sir.
If you're looking at the salary comparison data, and I was gonna bring this up into the budget, but since some numbers are out there and you may be looking at the budget books at home, I'll use the tax collector, for example. You see the current salary and then the salary that's being proposed in the next year budget. You're getting 2 years of a wage increase with that, exactly 5.4%. What that is because the number that went into this year's budget, because we didn't have a contract when we put it in, you're getting a double year. So 5.4 is a 2.7 for each year, but you're seeing the impact there. But remember, we have unnegotiated settlements where I stuck some money, so you won't see the huge impact on the budget because the money was already being funded in the budget. So when you're looking at the numbers, that's why you're seeing, a 5.4% increase. And if you're at home wondering, hey, wait a minute, we looked at a union contract and it said this number, and why is it going up that number? That's the reason. So,
Anything else?
that's all I have. I have my work.
Item 12, executive session, discussion regarding sale of town-owned properties, 32 Hubbard Street, 8284 Rockwell Street, 17 Birdsall Street, 132 Florence Street, 124 Rockwell Street, taking with us into executive session, Town Manager Harrington and Realtor David Satarano.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? At 8:17.
Yeah.
We're back from executive session at 8:58 PM. Item 13, new business. Discussion, possible action on the sale of town-owned properties, 32 Hubbard, 8284 Rockwell, 17 Birdsall Street, 132 Florence Street, and 124 Rockwell Street.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we reject the offer at 124 Rockwell Street, Winstead, and also direct Town Manager Harrington to reduce the selling asking price to $24,900.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? 6-0.
Also, Mr. Mayor, I move that we refer to Planning and Zoning, 32 Hubbard Street, 82-84 Rockwell Street, 17 Birdsall Street, and 132 Florence Street for consideration for sale.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Item 14, citizens' comments. Item 15, selectmen's comments and reports. Anyone?
Really quick, this Saturday, 10:30 to noon, finishing up the winter lecture series from the Soldiers Monument. This week is the Radium Girls, a tragic story of women in the clock and the watch industries, which should be pretty interesting since we had the world-famous Gilbert clock shops here.
We need to reflect that, slightly
Yeah, it was.
Tomorrow being St. Patrick's Day, everyone celebrate responsibly. And I borrowed this from the Senior Center's newsletter. What does it mean if you find a 4-leaf clover?
You have too much time on your hands. I read it too.
Oh, that's cheating, Bill.
Of course
Town
it is.
manager is requesting one more.
One quick, or two quick things. Eversource had reached out to me, as I told you, they're going to continue their gas main replacement. They were hoping to do a kickoff meeting with our residents on April 6th. Do what we did last time. We could do it at 6 o'clock at night, an hour before the selectmen's meeting. Invite the general public in, question and answer period. Does that work? I can talk clearly. Does that date work? Although
What was
charter
the date again?
revision, April 6th. Charter revision's probably meeting the first and third Mondays.
They're meeting in here at 5:30.
We could always go in the blue room. I know, April 6th, it's a selectmen's meeting night. They just wanted to do their kickoff, and technically, I don't need the board there. It's more of a question and answer for our residents. Does the board feel okay with booking that for April 6th? I can find us a room.
Go ahead, yes.
That. And then lastly, just 2 reminders. Town meeting tomorrow night for the Pearson Roof Project at 7 PM, the sale of 48 Bridge Street. And then next Tuesday, the 24th, is not only the day you vote on the Pearson Roof Project, but it's also the night that we have a co-meeting with the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education, where both the superintendent of schools and the head of schools of Gilbert come in and present their overall Board of Education budget to you and to the public. And that's at 7 PM at Pearson. There will be a Zoom link available. That's what I was waiting for today to post the agenda. It will not be available on YouTube. It will be available on Zoom. Just because of the technology, we have to do a Zoom link over there.
Well done.
The meeting you were talking about on the 6th, what time was that?
I was going to start that meeting at 6.
Okay, so it will still be in.
6th at the
CRC,
6th.
Yeah,
And then BOS right after, so how are we gonna work it?
so you guys can meet here. We can kick the question and answer of Eversource over into the Blue Room. It was not well attended, and it affected a lot more of our residents and business. This is a stretch where there's very little businesses, but Eversource offered. I immediately said, let me check with the board, just in case somebody has questions about it.
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Good night.